Big news, Padres fans. A new name has been added into the spring training mix. Jose Iglesias, the man you see rocking out right there for the Mets last season, signs with the San Diego Padres, a minor league deal. Let's talk about that, the implications of how this signing could lead to a Xander Bogaerts trade and everything working out for a World Series championship. Potentially, we'll get to all of that in the rest of this video. Before that, I got to thank, though, all of you who are tuning in. I appreciate it here at Padres Digest. I am your host, Christian Pedersen. I got to remind you really quick, though, before we go, we are baseball people, so we are numbers people. So I've got to ask you to smash that subscribe button below, please, because we got to turn this graph around. This says that a lot of you are new and a lot of you are tuning in, and I like that. But for my podcasting war to go up, we need to flip this around and have that be more subscribed returners than new people every episode. So smash that button. Let's talk about this, what I think potentially could be absolute game-changing signing for the San Diego Padres. Jose Iglesias is a shortstop was a shortstop for the Mets last season, and similar to this year, he is a journeyman, but he is a journeyman who got hot and found his stride. Let me show you the numbers. In 86 games with the Mets last season, he hit over 300. He had a ton of hits, not a ton of strikeouts, couple of home runs. Guy was electric for the closeout of the season for the Mets. The Mets move on. The Mets make another decision. He ends up in free agency, coming to the Padres on a minor league deal. He is 35. So not to say that he has found the fountain of youth and is going to keep hitting 300-something. And 80 games is not, the 270 at-bats is not 500 at-bats. It's not a full season. I know some seasons have some ebbs and flows, but this is a potentially very good baseball player. Let me show you the swing. You saw the swag. Here's the swing to go with it. Guy is, I think, follow me A to B to C to D here. He is a bargain basement, minimal cost option to bring in a guy who matches the vibe of the San Diego Padres dugout. A guy who can play a utility of infield positions and be just the perfect backup platoon dude you can trust to set the low end of the spectrum is not a low bar. He raises it up because he's a good backup. That's one end. Other end of the spectrum is, let's say Xander Bogaerts has another season where maybe not a down season, but a season where he is not red hot, he is not down. He's just right in the middle statistically of what Xander Bogaerts is, which is a good baseball player, but somebody who is not singularly responsible for taking a team all the way to a World Series championship. I think, follow me out here, we're looking at Padres ownership in the offseason has made comments that they are interested in, at the very least, not increasing the payroll, but potentially letting some existing payroll go in order to decrease the overall cost of the team and maybe potentially allow them to have options on other guys. Xander Bogaerts, unless he is going to come out this season and hit 360 and be the decisive factor and just kill the dog, I think Xander Bogaerts is somebody that if he is right in that middle and not having a bad season, you can shop him around to a bunch of different teams for either bullpen and platoon good backup at whatever other position you might want to add some depth to, or a 3 through 5 starter plus bench plus rookies plus international money. There's a couple of different permutations, and I'm not going to get ahead of myself and say that I've already picked teams and stuff, but I'm just saying that if 40 or 50 or 60 games in, Xander's doing okay, but you feel like the team needs a little punch, I think you could talk about how close can he get to bringing these numbers if he is waiting there in the wings, haven't played a couple, whatever it is, months of the season. You dish Xander to massively decrease your salary, given that we got a bunch of years left on his deal. You get somebody who's like a 1-year rental or a 1+, a team option or something, like somebody who is not going to incur long-term financial issues onto the Padres books, and you get the team a little bump, a little boost. You can drop a comment below and get at me if you think that dishing Xander is a bad idea. But to me, if we go, let's call it 35 to 40 games into the season, if Xander is hitting 270 and Iglesias is hitting 268, granted probably a smaller sample size, but if Jose Iglesias is like, hey, look, for $385,000 or whatever the minutia of his detail, it's not an expensive deal. If he can step out there and for this year or this year plus next year allow for either Leo DeVries to figure out the bat side a little bit more, or the Padres to just decide, hey, we're going to go all in on the rookie, on the young guy who has shown defensively, maybe is going to be a down guy offensively, but we believe in his defensive stuff so much that we're just going to go with him. The option is there. Maybe he's not a super duper star, but this feels like Jose Iglesias could be the bridge quarterback to get us to the next generation that is young and cheap and somebody that is not a huge, rebuild the team type of situation for losing. I think, obviously, it has to start with, Jose Iglesias has to not be washed and have squeezed all the last bit of baseball out of himself last season, but I think we're going to end up with, granted, a little bit different soundtrack and a little bit different jersey, but I think we're going to end up with some of these vibes potentially by the end of the season with him out there as a huge signing. Because, look, the Padres have got to compete with the Dodgers, obviously. We know that that's where we're headed. It's going to be a whole season of this. So it's not, to me, about necessarily right now, how do we line up? It's about how we line up in the end of the season, and that's where if dishing Xander, if we know we're going to make the playoffs, if we're cruising, team's looking okay, we have a piece there that can now get replaced by a good veteran piece that could potentially turn into something where, look at how good Nick Pivetta looked in his debut, and we had another video on the channel. Make sure you go. That's why I say subscribe, is because you could also just have already watched the Nick Pivetta video and be on the same page. But go check that out. Nick Pivetta had a great debut. If he is our 4, and then we also go get a guy, and then also Joe Musgrove comes back, we have a legitimate 6 people in that rotation. And then either Musgrove comes back and is able to rehab and just come out of the pen and do stuff and not have to even really worry about taxing that arm early on and can wait till September, October to get up to speed and he's primed for the playoffs. Or if somebody goes down, if we have Xander, we dish Xander for 1 year of somebody good on the mound. I don't know. Seems like maybe go get Marcus Stroman finally. Something like that. But we will have more of that as the season goes on. Obviously, spring training is going on right now, so I got the TLDR of every one of those games. I watch them, so you don't have to. Make sure that you also subscribe so you can get all of those updates. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And like I said, drop a comment if you think this is good, bad, nothing, everything in between. Talk to you soon.